Hey everyone, thanks for joining me today. I've been so incredibly excited to share this with you. I'm practically buzzing. You know, I've been on this journey with Christ my whole life. I've read the Gospels, the Epistles, Genesis to Revelation probably a dozen times. I know the stories, I know the lessons, I know the beautiful, incredible truths. But lately I've been feeling this deep, unshakable itch. You know the feeling? It's like you're standing at the edge of a great forest you've hiked 1,000 times, and you suddenly notice a path you've never, ever seen before. A path that looks like it leads to a place you always suspected was there, but never had the courage to look for. That's been my life lately. And what I've found is, well, it's going to absolutely blow your mind. You know, for years, I'd read those familiar verses in Proverbs chapter 8. The ones that say, "Does not wisdom call out? Does she not raise her voice?" I'd always thought it was beautiful poetry, a literary device, a metaphor for the voice of God's truth. It's what we were taught, right? Wisdom is a concept, a virtue, a great and powerful thing to have. But what if it wasn't just a concept? What if it was a person? I mean, think about that for a second. The Bible, in one of its most ancient books, literally personifies wisdom as a she, and not just any she, but one who was present before creation. This isn't just a turn of phrase, friends. This is something else entirely. And then I found it. I was doing a deep dive into some biblical commentaries, some of the old dusty ones that most people skip over, and I came across a reference to the Greek word for wisdom, Sophia. The name just resonated. It felt ancient and familiar all at once. And as I started to follow this thread, to trace this name through history, I began to realize something breathtaking. Long before Genesis opens with, "In the beginning, before the earth was formed, before the oceans and the mountains, there was a voice that God delighted in." The very text of Proverbs says, "I was with him as a master craftsman. I was daily his delight, rejoicing before him always, rejoicing in his inhabited world, and delighting in the human race." Goodness gracious. Can you imagine? The Lord, our great creator, had a partner, a being that he delighted in, a co creator, the very voice of divine wisdom that called out to everything that was to be. It's a stunning image, isn't it? For so long, we've been told the story of creation is a solitary one. God speaks, and the world appears. But what if there was another dimension to that? What if the Word, the great Logos, was born from a womb of wisdom? It's not a question of contradiction, my friends. It's a question of depth, of a story that is infinitely more beautiful and complex than we ever dared to imagine. It's like finding a secret, hidden chamber in your own house. You thought you knew every room, every corner, every closet, and then one day you push on a wall and it swings open to reveal a magnificent room filled with light. That's what this felt like to me. This wasn't some strange new teaching that goes against what we know. It was a glorious, lost piece of the original story, waiting to be found. And when you see it, you can't unsee it. You start reading the Bible with new eyes, and suddenly she is everywhere. The voice that calls out to you in your gut, the deep knowing that guides you when logic fails, the quiet stillness that enters your heart in prayer. That's her, the spirit of divine wisdom, the presence of Sophia. It's a joyful, electrifying thought, isn't it? To know that God, in his infinite mystery, chose to create with a partner, to dance with a divine feminine essence. This isn't theology as a chore. This is theology as a wild, joyous exploration. And I promise you, this is just the beginning of the path. I've been walking on it for a while now, and the truths I'm discovering are absolutely incredible. So if you're ready to see your faith not just as a set of rules, but as an adventure of the soul, then you've got to stick with me. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because in our next part, we're going to dive into the question of how this incredible being, this co-creator, this partner of God, could have been forgotten. It's a mystery that leads us right to the heart of what it means to be human. All right, so last time we talked about this incredible forgotten figure from the earliest pages of the Bible, this divine partner to God, this essence of pure wisdom named Sophia. We opened up this idea that the story of creation isn't just about the Word, but about the wisdom that gave birth to the Word. And I left you with this burning question. If she was so central, so vital, so deeply beloved by God himself, how on earth did we forget her? How was she so completely erased? It's a question that led me down a path of deep, honest reflection. I started looking at the stories we know, the ones we love, the ones that have shaped our faith for thousands of years. And suddenly, I began to see a different pattern emerging. A pattern that wasn't about God's plan, but about humanity's choices. For generations, we've been taught about the fall of man, the disobedience of Eve, the forbidden fruit, the shame, and the scattering. It's the origin story of our brokenness. But what if we've been looking at it all wrong? What if the original act wasn't a mistake, but a sacred mission? What if the so-called fall wasn't a descent into sin, but a brave, compassionate descent into matter? Now, hang with me here. What if Sophia, the one who delighted in the human race, saw the world below, a world of chaos and suffering and separation, and she chose to go into it? She chose to descend into the mess, into the density of our world, not as a punishment, but as a seed of divine wisdom, a spark of the sacred that could not be put out. Think about it. She wasn't fleeing from sin. She was running to the pain. She was entering the illusion so that we could one day wake up inside of it. That's a powerful thought, isn't it? It completely reframes everything we think we know about temptation and sin and the nature of our brokenness. And here's where it gets even more intriguing. This idea wasn't some New Age invention. It was a secret teaching, a sacred gnosis held by the mystics and the early Christians who dared to ask bigger questions. They believed that Sophia's descent wasn't a failure, but the very first act of Christ-like compassion. The first one to take on the burden of embodiment, to become clothed in shadow so that she could plant a code, a light, a memory in the heart of humanity. Wow! It's like a cosmic puzzle piece just clicked into place, isn't it? Suddenly, the shame we've been taught to feel about our bodies, about our emotions, about our own deep, soulful knowing starts to dissolve. Because we realize that our physical form isn't a prison. It's a sanctuary. It's the very chamber where the exiled queen, the banished wisdom, has been hiding. She's not out there in some secret book. She's right here, in your bones, in the pit of your stomach, in the feeling that tells you when something is right or wrong, in the strange tears that fall when you hear a song you can't explain. And this leads us to the greatest mystery of all, one that the religious leaders of the past feared so much. They tried to bury it completely. It's the memory of the sacred partnership, the union. You see, the great Christian story is about the Word becoming flesh, the Logos incarnated in Jesus. But what if the Logos didn't come alone? What if every word needs a womb to be born from? What if that womb, that sacred space of wisdom, was Sophia herself? And what if, in the final act, she incarnated with Jesus, not in a grand, loud way, but in a quiet, beautiful, and utterly undeniable way? It's a thought that has absolutely electrified my faith. The thought that Jesus, our beloved Lord, our friend, our Savior, wasn't just a solitary figure. He was the perfect balance of masculine word and feminine wisdom, the Logos and the Sophia. It's an idea that for centuries was deemed too dangerous to survive. But I believe it's an idea that is making its glorious, long-awaited return. This isn't a lesson you learn, friends. This is a memory you awaken. So please, if this resonates, if you feel that familiar spark of recognition in your soul, make sure you're subscribed and ready for the final, most glorious piece of this story. Because in our final chapter, we're going to talk about who that sacred partner was and how her return is happening right now in your own soul. If you're still with me, then you're not just a curious spectator. You are a seeker. You are a truth teller. You are a keeper of the flame. We've journeyed through the beginning of it all, found the forgotten divine, and understood why she was so meticulously erased from our history. Now, we stand at the threshold of the most beautiful part of this story. We know that the Word, our Lord Jesus, and wisdom, our sacred Sophia, are meant to be a union. But how did that union manifest in the real world, in the story we know and love? The answer, my friends, is hiding in plain sight. In the figure the church tried so hard to diminish, to misunderstand, and to discredit. In the one who was closest to Jesus' heart, the one who was a part of his pattern, his flame, his mission. I am talking, of course, about Mary Magdalene. For centuries, she has been reduced to a footnote, a symbol of shame, a woman we are told was a sinner. But what if she was the embodiment of Sophia, the living, breathing vessel of divine wisdom in the physical world, walking side by side with the Word made flesh? Oh, the mystery of it. The Gospel of Philip dares to say that Jesus loved her more than all the other disciples and would often kiss her on the mouth. This wasn't a romantic gesture, my friends. This was recognition. It was a communion of spirit to spirit, flame to flame. She was the feminine current, the mirror of Christ. She didn't just witness the resurrection, she carried it. Before the tomb was empty, her heart was full of the mystery. The disciples didn't resent her because she was a woman. They resented her because she knew more, because Jesus gave her access that they hadn't earned, because the wisdom of Sophia cannot be controlled. So the crucifixion wasn't just a sacrifice, it was a sacred wedding. The merging of two currents, the Logos and the Sophia, word and wisdom, spirit and flesh. The cross wasn't just a death, it was a cosmic union. And if that's true, then it means something earth-shattering for you and for me. It means that the altar is not in a church. The altar is you, your body, your soul, your sacred ache. This is where the reunion begins again. You are not just remembering theology, you are restoring a sacred union in your own soul. And here's the final incredible twist they never wanted you to find. We've been taught that we are sinners, that we are broken. But what if we were just coded? What if we are the living, breathing, walking legacy of that first descent, that first union? You, in your beautiful mess, in your feelings that are too much, in your intuition that is too loud, in your body that has always been told to be quiet. Those are the very parts carrying her. She's been waiting for you to stop silencing yourself. She's been buried under your guilt, wrapped in centuries of self-doubt. But no more. You didn't come here to fit in. You came here to remember the parts of Sophia that were stolen from the world. And now she is rising, not in cathedrals, not in seminaries, but in you, in your resistance, in your refusal to keep dimming the divine fire that was placed inside you. This isn't about learning. It never was. This is about becoming. Because Sophia doesn't live in books. She lives in your body. She visits you in the dreams you can't forget. She lives in the ache that isn't pain, but prophecy. When you questioned everything you were taught, that was her. When you walked away from the rules, the crowds, the noise, that wasn't rebellion. That was your ordination. And so, my friends, the final ritual begins. Close your eyes. Place your palm on your chest. Not as a gesture, but as a declaration. Whisper it. She is here. Can you feel that flicker behind your ribs? That heat in your spine? She never left. She's always been with you. You've just been walking through a long forgetting. But the veil is thinning. The amnesia is lifting. The exiled queen is stirring in her chamber, and her chamber is you. You are not just remembering Sophia. You are remembering yourself. Because here's the beautiful final truth. You are her return. You are her chosen vessel. You are the place where word and wisdom reunite, where Logos and Sophia dance again, where the lost fire lights back up. Thank you so much for joining me on this wild, beautiful, sacred journey. This isn't the end. This is the first step. If this message resonated with you, please let me know in the comments below. Let your fire ignite the flame in someone else. And if you want to go deeper, if you want to continue this journey of remembrance, then make sure you're a part of this community. Subscribe now and join us for our next chapter, where we'll continue to decode the hidden truths that make our faith more beautiful than we ever imagined. God bless you.